Alright, so hey guys, welcome to the fourth qualifier for Showdown of the Lords. Actually, I am missing a name here. I believe that's how you spell his name. Let's check it real quick. Yep. So this is the current bracket for this qualifier. We have 4 players. Started off with 7. We actually had 1 dropout. Hey, it's current year. He is, actually, oh yeah, so he just, unfortunately, lost to Umaze, I believe that's how you say his name, but yeah, he actually had a couple streams where he practiced for this tournament, and he's a fellow content creator as well on YouTube, so if you want to check him out, it's current year. If you want to post the link to your channel, you can of course do that in chat. But otherwise, we have 4 current competitors for this qualifier, and first we are going to be streaming Way and Deadly Bunnies, and check out how they do. So let's pull up the Wheel of Lords that will be deciding each player's fate. Yeah, sorry about your unfortunate fate. You did go up against a very good player. I've played Umaze in a lot of quick battles, and he's definitely a very, very good player. Hey Lux, yeah, sorry for the initial technical difficulties we were having, but I think we worked it out. Yeah, and you're the only current year, you're the only group of competitors that actually made it to the 3rd game so far, so I can tell it was close. Anyways, let's get both our competitors. Y'all ready? Let's get the wheel up, and I'm going to give Japanese Hawk, who is also Deadly Bunnies, I will give him the first roll. Alright, so let's give him his first roll and check out what he gets. Palpatine, not been kind to you today, only elf so far, unfortunate. But yeah, this is a very heavily elf favored wheel. You can see the white portion is the high elves, purple is the dark elves, and well, the green is the wood elves, the light green, but they don't have that many lords. So Grom the Paunch for Deadly Bunnies, or Hawk, gets Grom. And what does Way get? Let's check out what Way gets. Grom the Paunch is a pretty good lord. He has a lot of utility in a lot of matchups, so if I were him, I'd probably keep it. The wheel has a lot of risk, and so if you even get like a decent lord, I would recommend keeping it. The Grey Seer of Plague. So sub-factions are allowed, so if the Japanese Hawk wants to go with Grom sub-faction, that is perfectly allowable, and if Wei wants to take the Grey Seer of Plague, let's see, we might have a Greenskins versus Skaven matchup. Okay, so Wei is sticking with that. 2 pretty meta lords, yep. Hopefully the wheel starts giving some unusual picks soon. The first round was a lot of archmages and a lot of Durthu as well, which I don't really mind actually, but okay, so they're both sticking with their respective first picks. Alright. So let's check out the greenskin forces commanded by the Japanese Hawk or Deadly Bunnies. 4:30, oh geez, that is very, very late. Or sorry, early. I guess late in the night, early in the morning. Kind of blurs the lines at 4:30. Yeah, I cannot stay up that late. Anyways, for the greenskins, we have a front line of savage orcs who should be able to chew through all the Skaven infantry pretty quickly. I believe these should be, okay, yeah, stone trolls coming in with a decent bit of missile resistance, though I think there's only one of them. We have a orc shaman. Let's check out what spells. So we have the Scroll of Shielding, Here We Go, and Brain Bursta. That is the same thing. We also have a Black Orc Big Boss giving some buffs to nearby troops. And we have a bunch of skirmishers in the form of some Forest Goblin Spider Rider archers and Goblin Wolf Rider archers. Why are their names so long? Makes it a pain to cast, but doesn't matter. We have in the forest, we have some squigs. That is fun. And we of course do have Grom the Paunch. For the Skaven. Yep, looks like they're ready. Seems like they're going with a bit of a box formation. In the middle we do have some Poison Wind Mortars and some Rat Ogres for some mass. And on the edges just some typical clan rats. We actually have the Council Guard, the Regiment of Renowned Storm Vermin with halberds in the back. And for the front lines we have Skaven Slaves, a Hell Pit Abomination, and a double Assassin. Let's check out what the Seer Plague is bringing. So Plague Rash, Scorch, Unholy Clamor, and Vermintide. So a decent bit of summoning power, and we do have Warp Fire Throwers. Not a unit you get to see terribly often, but they do have decent anti-infantry fire, which can do a bit of damage against the greenskins. Of course, Savage Orcs are not shielded. I don't believe they have any armor either. Yeah, so Warp Fires are actually a pretty neat little pick in this matchup. And we do have the Teethbreakers as well, the Regiment of Renowned Rattling Guns. 8 p.m. Wow, that is... Yeah, for some reason I can't sleep before 1 p.m, but past 1 p.m. I'm just dead. I can't get anything done. There's like something that happens at 1 p.m. where my body just says nope. Like I'm perfectly awake until 1 p.m. I can't sleep. And then 1 p.m. and I'm just dead. Anyways, they will start whenever they are ready. So pretty fun little army from the Skaven, and the greenskins do have a couple squigs to make this matchup a little interesting as well. And looks like they are ready to go. Check out the Poison Wind Mortars are probably going to be opening up fire soon. Or their range isn't nearly as much to catch the greenskins army initially, but they will soon. As the greenskins do approach slowly, they are forming a little bit of a blob, which could be very disastrous if those Poison Wind Mortars do get a couple shots into them, but the skirmishers are looking like they're going for a flank. Hate Skaven, yeah. As a Lizardman main, I also feel your pain. That rhymed. Okay, so the skirmishers are going around for a flank, and the squigs are also hidden in the forest doing a similar thing. This is a box formation, so they should be rather, I guess, invulnerable to getting their flanks attacked, but you never know. Quite filthy goblin, yeah. We definitely have some mixed opinions in chat, but I, for one, as a Lizardman main, get very tired in campaign facing constant Skaven slave stacks. And now we have a fight between the Black Orc Big Boss and a couple of the Stone Trolls against the Assassin, who does decide to retreat as the Warp Fire Throwers open fire. Poison Wind Mortars doing a decent bit of damage to the Savage Orcs, and the Skirmishers do line up on the flanks to get some nice fire into the Teethbreakers in the middle of this Skaven formation. The Rat Ogres don't have the best leadership, and they're currently wavering at like, what, 70% health, which is a little surprising, but I do believe that Rattling Guns do have a leadership debuff, I believe. We have a summon coming in from the Seer Plague, trying to stop the Black Orc Big Boss from advancing, and the Assassins are likely going to hop on top of him pretty soon. And yeah, it's not looking so great for the Greenskins so far, as their main infantry might in the form of the Savage Orcs are running from the field. the Black Orc Big Boss is fighting the Seer Plague and the Hellpit Abomination, which he definitely does not want to do, and some Rat Ogres do manage to hop on top of some of these Squig Hoppers, and some Squig Hoppers are coming in from the left flank as well, running into some Clan Rats with spears. Do they have anti-large? Yeah, they do have anti-large, and they have charge defense, so yeah, Squig Hoppers might not want to be charging directly into these Clan Rats with spears. And now we have a big blob of these Rat Ogres, which will make quick work of the Squig Hoppers if they're not careful. We do have some loons going through, I guess, some of these the Clan Rat spears before they decide to dive into the middle, after which they will probably not be lasting very long. And now the Skaven have formed a sort of death blob around the Seer Plague. Let's check out how this death blob will fare against the greenskins. It definitely looks like Skaven is taking the initial advantage. You can see the balance of power is slightly Skaven favored, but Grom the Paunch can definitely do quite a bit of damage. As you can see, he is currently getting a charge into the back of some of these Poison Wind Mortars, and after that he can hop on top of some of these Warp Grinders who do not have great melee stats at all. Grom the Paunch does have to be careful though that the assassin does come in and pop an assassin's trophy on him, and that might be dangerous for him, but he does get out of the way. Black Orc Big Boss still holding firm. He was initially fighting a losing battle with the Seer and Hellpit Abomination, but he does manage to disengage, and there's not too much on the Greenskins roster left that can take down a healthy Hellpit Abomination with all its healing and regeneration. It is going to be relatively tough. Some Stone Trolls are fighting it out to whatever leadership they can. They don't have very much leadership, but they're trying their very best, and they'll probably rout pretty soon. But hopefully they can do some damage. Looks like they are doing damage to the Hellpit Abomination, but yeah, again, their leadership is very, very low, so I don't expect them to last for very long. As you can see, they are wavering, and now Grom the Paunch has Assassin's Trophy popped on him. He's getting attacked by the Seer, and this may just be the end for the Greenskins leadership, as the Assassin and a couple Clan Rats do surround him. He is a very beefy character and very tough to take down, so he is toughing it out like a beast. And unfortunately, it looks like the Hellpit Abomination is going to be pushing through to try to catch him. No, he does escape the giant blob. A Brain Burster going through some of the Council Guard. And oh man, the Black Orc Big Boss also lost a ton of HP. I wonder if that was because of the Council Guard. But now we have some more routing greenskins. A lot of the skirmishers are running from the fight. I think they were pushed into melee to try and save Grom, but unfortunately they did pay the price for that. And yup, Bob really needs to be in that blob. I think the fact that he was far away from his Stone Trolls just meant that they didn't get their maximum use before they were routed, but they are returning, likely to rout again. Yeah, there's still 2 units of Rat Ogres left as well, and they can probably beat down the Stone Trolls as well. They can probably beat down Bob at his low HP level as well. Where is Bob? Is Bob dead? Okay, I don't know where Bob went. I think Bob just died. Rest in peace, Bob. But now Grom the Paunch is being trailed by a very scary Hellpit Abomination and double Assassin Gooning Squad, so he definitely wants to avoid them at all costs. And now pretty much the only forces that the Greenskins have are going to be these skirmishers. We do have one of the skirmishers returning, but they really won't be able to carry this battle, especially against a regenerating Hellpit Abomination and 2 assassins. Looks like the Hellpit did get a little bit of a hit into Grom the Paunch, so he really has to be careful not to stay close to this Goon Squad for too long, but he does get caught by them. Assassin's Trophy gets popped, a Skaven Slave summon, or sorry, Clan Rats summon tries to catch some of the skirmishers, but those Forest Goblin Spider Rider archers are fast enough to dodge. Oh, and the Seer Plague is actually very, very low on HP, and Grom is trying to trail him and catch him, but still I don't really see much hope for the greenskins. Attacking rule is still being fulfilled, I believe, by these skirmishers, since they are still expending their ammunition. And now Grom the Paunch does get caught, and this is likely the end of the greenskins. Yup, there he goes, and army losses will soon set in. So GG's. And we do have Wei taking the first round with the Skaven. So Wei gets the next pick as we do pull up the wheel. Let's see what the wheel decides as Wei's fate. It's current year, thank you for the follow. Damn, my notifications from Streamlabs still don't work. Normally there's like a thing that pops up that says blank is following, but it's not working. Okay, so we have Queek, Head Taker for... Wait, no, he can't play Queek. He already played Skaven. So he gets a reroll. And he does get the Glade Lady. So Wei gets Glade Lady. Probably the most meta pick for the greenskins. Oh, sorry, not the greenskins, the Wood Elves. And we get Lord Scroat, so a lot of Skaven so far. And Hawk gets... Who is it against? Grok? Grok. So let's see, are they going to be keeping their respective factions? Glade Lady is a very metal lord, so... Oh, well, Wei is rerolling. He probably isn't super comfortable with the Wood Elves. I know I, for one, am not. Yes, we get some Lizard Men. Please keep this. I love casting the Lizard Men. Oh, but this is a terrible matchup for the Lizard Men as well. Lizard Men versus Skaven. They can win, and Saurus Oldblood is actually my lord for playing against the Skaven. Like, he's the lord I use for Skaven, against the Skaven. So, you know, it's not a terrible pick, but the Lizard Men don't have a very favorable matchup with the Skaven. But if there's one lord on the Lizard Men roster that can win that matchup, it is Saurus Oldblood. Usually I either take Saurus Oldblood or I take a Crocscore Ancient with a Carnosaur. So, wrong faction. Okay, so Hawk is re-rolling. And he gets Crone Hellebron. That is a little unfortunate, but I'm also excited to see an unconventional lord. Dark Elves also have a somewhat favorable matchup against the Lizardmen, I'd say. Yep, every faction has knowing units, but it's pretty surprising that... I actually believe that bombers are much more powerful than miners with blasting charges, because one, they can shoot while they're in melee, which is kind of crazy. If they're in guard mode, the back lines of the unit can actually shoot while they're in melee, and they also have a lot more ammunition. So even though they're undead and they don't really have any melee capabilities, they're just so darn powerful. That way you can go with a front line of bombers actually. Sometimes. Like just bring no infantry, a front line of bombers, and that can actually do a decent bit of work. Alright, so we have a double shrine, the Death Hag, and we have Crone Hellbrun on her shrine. Oh wow, so no horseback. We also have a Sorceress Abyss, so that is going to be a lot of Winds of Magic that he might have to use, which we'll see how it goes. Crumbling OP, yep, for sure. We have 3 units of Dark Riders with repeater crossbows and 1 unit of Dark Riders with shields, and for the front lines, looks like we have a bit of a Death Blob with Blackheart Corsairs for the front line, and some Dread Spears in the back, and 1 unit of the Sisters of Singing Doom, the Regiment of Renowned Witch Elves. Their rampaging capabilities can definitely be very, very powerful. Yeah, very interesting Dark Elf build. Interested to see how it does. Let's see what the Lizardmen are going to be bringing. The good thing about bringing a sort of death blob against a Lizardmen is that they don't have very many wind spells to destroy lines of Dark Elves. Like they don't have Pendulum or... the only thing they do have is... what is it called? Forgot what it's called. The Heavens Caster. Yeah, they have a Heavens Caster with her wind spells, so that could do decent work, but I don't think they've brought it in this one. They brought the Beast Caster, so they both have Beast Casters, but the Dark Elves should have a decent time against the infantry of the Lizardmen. It looks like they are taking a place among the trees where they are situating some... So is this the Umbral Tide or just... No, it's a regular Salamander hunting pack hidden in the forest, and 2 units of Coldwind Spear Riders in the right forest. So they have gone with a bit of a skirmish build. They have only 2 units of Chameleon Skinks, which still can do a decent bit of work, 2 units of Skink Cohort with Javelins, and a front line of 2 Saurus Warriors, and the cohort of Sotek. We have a Beast Caster and Saurus Oldblood on his Carnosaur. Double Solar Engine, which should do decent work against the infantry. And yeah, that pretty much makes up most of the army. Oh, 3 Coldwind Spear Riders actually. I'm not sure how the Coldwind Spear Riders would do against this kind of army. I don't think they do very well. They probably get skirmished to death by these repeater crossbows, but yeah, pretty darn interesting army. Let's see, is Crone bringing? Witch Brew, Heroic Killing Blow, Fury of Cain, Amulet of Dark Fire. Crone is a caster, right? Is she? So no spells on her. But she does have a very decent number of buffs. No, oh, she doesn't cast. Okay, that makes more sense. So that's why we see the Beastcaster. Yeah, I have never played against Crone Hellbrun, as you can probably tell from my casting. I have no idea what sort of tools she brings to the matchup, but I have played a lot of Lizardmen, and I think this army should do a fair bit of damage. Not as much range as I would like to bring normally. I like a lot more Chameleon Skinks, a lot more Skink Cohort with Javelins, but this one should be able to do a decent bit of work, as a shot from the Solar Engine does come in on Crone, not doing a ton of damage. The Dark Elves will have to watch out for those Manticores though, since I'm guessing they can definitely do quite a bit of damage. And are we going to see a Manticore summoning duel coming? As both Manticores are summoned at the same time. And one is coming in to take down the other one Beastcaster, who is on horseback. And the Lizardman Beastcaster does not have a mount, I believe. Or does not have a horseback mount, I believe, so they'll be stuck on the ground for now. Now the front lines move to engage. Unfortunately, I don't think the Lizardmen got a charge off. so they may find it somewhat tough to beat down the Blackheart Corsairs, but looks like they're actually doing a decent bit of damage, taking the Blackheart Corsairs down to about half HP as Saurus Oldblood himself does come in for a charge on the Death Hag. And ooh, we do have a Manticore duel as both of them are rampaged right into each other, pretty much wasting both summons. That's pretty funny. And now these Skink cohort with javelins are taking some decent fire into a lot of the Dark Riders with repeated crossbows, which is a very good play. But so far, these Cold One Spear Riders have not been playing a very big part in this matchup. We do have one that charged into the side of some of these Dark Riders, but other than that, they are yet to make too much of an impact. They are charging into the front lines of some of these Dread Spears, so not the greatest matchup for them, but they should be able to beat them with support from the core of tech. And there is a huge blob going down the middle as everything is rampaged for the Dark Elves. They are doing a very decent bit of damage to Saurus Oldblood, and he's not really returning much against Crone or the other Death Hag, so they might have to be a little careful there. It looks like the blob is doing a decent bit of work, and now finally the Salamanders do open fire, though their ideal target would be the Death Hag. And what kind of sorcery is going on in this blob? I do not play Dark Elves, but this just looks so darn cool. And yup, here comes the fire from the Lizardmen, and this is where you really have to be scared of the Lizardmen. They do manage to rout Saurus Oldblood though, which is a pretty large win, but they need to shut down the Salamander Hunting Pack. They need to shut down the second Solar Engine. They did manage to rout one of these Solar Engines with consistent crossbow fire, but as long as those Salamanders and the Solar Engine are firing, they are still very much in the danger zone. And the Lizardmen are taking the upper hand in the balance of power. I do believe Saurus Oldblood, yep, he will return. And now you can see what's happening to this Death Hag. Just consistent fire from those Chameleon Skinks, and eventually these Salamanders should knock them out of the fight. And the Carnosaur coming in for a finishing blow. Will he be able to do it? Yup, and now the Salamanders are firing, the Chameleons are firing. They're forming like a arc of death as they fire in, which is completely decimating the lines of the Dark Elves, and it is looking like the Lizardmen are going to be taking this fight. Solar has magical fire, and it does come with a leadership debuff as well, I believe. Let's check it out. Oh, well, can't do that. And so Wei does win the second battle, but a very gutsy army from Deadly Bunnies. Yeah, so they get to reroll once they get their Lord pick, and let's see what Palpatine does get. So far he's been getting a lot of elves, which I guess he does not favor so much, but he does get the Empire. Ooh, I think he already played as a general of the Empire. Which is a very unfortunate pick, since it is a generic Lord with no casting abilities. He is very cheap though, so it won't really break the bank per se, but still not the best Lord that you'd want. And Grombrindal for Maze, which is a very, very good play, very good pick for him, since he is a dwarf main, I believe. So definitely going to be rather tough for Palpatine, but I believe he should be able to do it. He's also a very skilled player. And also, yeah, he has to reroll now, Palpatine, because you cannot be playing Empire versus Dwarves with the General of the Empire. Yep, looks like he is happy. And Palpatine is going to be rerolling as he should be. Yeah, you definitely do not want to be taking that matchup. That is exactly why I have included 2 rerolls. This is also kind of bad, I think, for the coast. So, Vampire Fleet Admiral with Polearm. It's a long-ass name. Fleet Admiral Polearm. and vampires. Feet Admiral, yep. Yeah, Coast does not do good in that matchup at all. And let's see, will the wheel be giving him a more favorable... not really. This also kind of sucks. So 3 terrible matchups in a row for Palpatine, but this is the best of the 3, I'd say. Yeah, no problem. Sorry you have to go against such a tough opponent. So yay, more lizard men. Let's go. I spelled chief wrong. So it looks like Maze is going to be sticking with it, and this is going to be favored towards him, I'm guessing, because of the fact that he is a dwarf main, and in general this matchup is lizardmen favored. Or sorry, dwarf favored. Yeah, it's definitely a very tough. Alright, let's check out his army. Yeah, they are good against a lot of top tier factions. So Palpatine looks like he is going for a couple Saurus warriors along with some red Crested Skinks and a good number of them as well, which I definitely like. And we do have a Crocscore rush, so this is in my opinion the best way to take down the dwarves, but oh man, and I have played this army before that Yume's is fielding. So Vanguard, a bunch of Rangers along with a couple Miners with blasting charges, and the Lizardmen are a surprisingly slow faction actually, and so he can actually use these guys to kite and do a ton of damage to any units on the right flank. So this is going to be an interesting matchup to see how Palpatine does deal with them, but yeah, I'm going to say these 2 Crocscores are not going to be having a fun time when the battle starts. Yeah, for sure. Like dwarves, they have a lot of strengths, but they also have a couple weaknesses, and a big one is chariots. So like they are strong against Empire, Pirates, and Skaven, but they're also kind of weak to, I guess, like High Elves, the Norskins. I'm trying to think of all factions with chariots. Greenskins as well, pretty bad matchup for them since Greenskins can field some pretty cheap chariots and do a good bit of damage. Yeah, Tomb Kings. But ooh, we actually do have double Skink Chief in disguise as well. They should be expending their ammunition into the leadership of the dwarves, and it should be able to do a decent bit of damage since, of course, you can't rely on the Red Crested Skink Chief by itself. Yeah, you really have to watch out for the Red Crested Skink Chief. He is very, very cheap, but he can also be sniped out relatively easily. And for the... oh, I'm not done actually. We do have 2 Stegodons as well. So I'm interested to see how this Lizardman army does. I normally do not bring Stegodons in this matchup, but they do have a lot of anti-infantry usefulness. And now the battle does start as the front line of Dwarf Warriors does move up. We have a couple Thunders as well, and a unit of Dwarf Warriors in the back lines to protect them. And we have 1 unit of Dragonback Slayers as well. Now the Lizardmen do move back as they see the Miners with Blasting Charges approaching. Miners with Blasting Charges can definitely do a lot of damage to these Saurus Warriors, so they have to be a little careful. And yeah, as I expected, those Rangers are opening fire into the Crocscores. They're going to be having a little bit of a rough time. We do also have Gotrek on this side, so those Stegodons along with the Crocscores really need to be a little careful, but there are 2 Skink Chiefs to, you know, skirmish him down. And he's actually taken quite a bit of damage. Oh man, the Stegodon is really laying a beating on Gotrek. and some fire from those blasting charges going into the Stegodon, which is not a very good target for them. But this is where Yumi's all Vanguard army, or half Vanguard army, does kind of have a few flaws in the fact that the Lizardmen can basically just swarm a lot of their troops. But it seems like he is dealing with it relatively well. Gotrek has taken a ton of damage, but he has managed. Oh man, look what he did to the Stegodon. He has managed to take down one Stegodon and now is hopping on top of a couple Crocscores and the second Stegodon. The front lines are going in favor of the Lizardmen as Crocscores are pushing through and destroying a couple Thunders, but I think the crossfire from the second unit of Thunder should be able to knock them out of the fight. We do also have the Core of Sotek, who though they're not very durable, they are unbreakable and should be staying in the fight for a relatively long time. There are also a couple Skink skirmishers who may not be the best in this fight since they don't have great armor piercing values. But yeah, this is not looking good for the Lizardmen at all, as the second Stegodon is about to fall to the great world beater that is Gotrek. And with that, there's really nothing left on the Lizardmen roster to challenge the might of the Great Dwarves. Grombrindal is doing a decent bit of damage. Seems like he's missing a lot of his hits into the Red Crested Skink Chief, but in a one-on-one duel, he would win pretty favorably. And the Skink Chief, they have been in the skies and firing consistently into Gotrek, but unfortunately they haven't been able to kill him. He does fall there, but they haven't been able to kill him fast enough to save a lot of those large units which he was targeting, such as the Stegodons and such as the Crocscores. One Stegodon does return, but he's at way too low HP to really be a further factor. And now the dwarves are consolidating their back line, shutting down the last of the Saurus warriors, before they can just turn around and start firing in at the Red Crested Skink Chief or the Feral Stegodon. And yeah, this battle is looking firmly in favor of the dwarves, and unfortunately, the Lizardmen may be retreating from the fight very, very soon. And yep, there goes the second Stegodon as he falls to a lot of the Ranger fire. Yeah, it's definitely a very tough matchup, but yeah, I'd say the one flaw of this Vanguard style fight is that it can get ambushed relatively early and knocked out of the fight, but I think Yumi's did a good job of protecting them, and Palpatine slightly overextended trying to kill off Gotrek along with Grombrindal, but Stegodons really just didn't do enough work. And let's check out what lore he will be getting. So we have Alith Anar, the Shadow King himself. It should be a pretty fun little battle to see him. He's not a pick that you see terribly often, but he is very, very fun whenever you do see him. He's actually counted as an artillery piece, I believe, according to banner rules, which is actually pretty cool. So he's good at counter-sniping artillery. And let's check out what Palpatine gets. And he gets Dorthu. This wheel has really been favoring Dorthu today. Yeah, I don't know what's up with this wheel in Dorthu. It's like punishing us for not getting the Wood Elf DLC this week. But this is another High Elf favored matchup. So, another matchup that is favorable for you, Maze. He's probably, yeah, he's gonna reroll. Yeah, someone just play him. Maybe it'll stop. Arch Lector. Yeah, Palpatine has not been getting very favorable picks so far. Not Arch Palpatine, Arch Lector. Alith Anar is much better when you don't see him coming, that is true. Really gotta rely on those archers to deal damage. And it looks like the Empire may actually have a little bit of favorable terrain, since they may... Actually, they don't have any artillery. If they had any like mortars, they could like hide them behind the trees and make them a little resistant to sniping from Alith Anar. But it looks like he decided not to take much artillery to back up his forces as the Empire. But let's check out Palpatine's army. So we have a couple spearmen, probably going to be making up the front lines. Oh, we also have a couple swordsmen and the Sigmar's sons. So a pretty powerful front line that should trade somewhat effectively against the High Elves. The Rangers would be able to chew through most of them. We do have a couple of the silver bullets and spearmen to protect the back lines. Check out the rest of the army. For cavalry, keeps moving. For cavalry, we have the Royal Altdorf Griffites and one unit of normal Demigryph Knights. No halberts, but you don't really need the halberts unless you're going up against a dragon. And Vanguard deployed are going to be the Zintler's Reichsguard. Not a unit you get to see terribly often, but Reichsguard are pretty powerful cavalry pieces, so definitely interested to see how they do. And we do have a sizable skirmishing corps in the form of 3 Pistoliers. So it's really going to be up to those Demigryph blobs to see how much damage they can do. And we of course have the Arch Lector bringing his battle prayers. Check out which ones. So we have Grand Soulfire, Grand Shield of Faith, and Grand Hammer of Sigmar. Also, Crown of Command bringing some unbreakable capabilities. And yeah, no mortars, which is a little surprising, but seems like the High Elves have also gone for a pretty heavy artillery corps, along with the Alith Anar, of course. So maybe mortars wouldn't have been the best in this matchup. We also do have a lot of rangers for the front line, and a couple. So we have Sisters, Archers with light armor, and the Everqueen's Court Guards. So we have some pretty elite archer units whom could have been decimated by the mortars if they were there, but unfortunately there is not. So they should be able to fire in happily from the back lines. We also have one unit of Silver Helms. 2 units actually, it seems like there's another unit of Silver Helms Vanguard deployed, along with a Mage of Death. We have Alith Anar in the right flank with another unit of Silver Helms doing a little bit of sniping onto some swordsmen. And we also do have 2 Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, which I think I mentioned, but they also will be opening fire, doing a little bit of damage to the swordsmen of the Empire. Yeah, so a very expensive archer line, and they'll have to be careful that they don't get compromised by the Demigryph blob. So Silver Helm's getting some good frontal charges into swordsmen. They don't have charge defense, of course. So we'll have to see how the Empire's infantry does perform. I think other than the Sigmar's sons, they'll probably be losing to the Rangers of the High Elves, but we'll have to see. So we have a Moonbow shot, I believe, going into some of these Demigryph Knights, doing a little bit of damage, but they do retreat as they take some fire from those Sisters of Avalorn. Having high range archers is actually a huge boon in this matchup, since you can screen out a lot of those Demigryph Knights relatively well with your high amounts of range and armor piercing. And now we have a pretty large blob getting shot up by those Sisters of Avalorn as some Demigryph Knights try and surround a couple of those Rangers. A Grand Soulfire bombardment does try and decimate the lines of some Rangers, but unfortunately the forces, the Demigryph Knights that were in that blob are forced to retreat. silver bullets are getting a decent bit of damage into those silver helms, and looks like the Lector is running after them. And unfortunately, even though the Altdorfer fights did get a very good charge into the Everqueen's court guards, they are now getting completely surrounded and destroyed by these secondary units of Sisters, along with the Talons of Glade. And wow, these Demigryph Knights are getting completely destroyed. The Archlector is in there as well to provide some healing and buffs, but unfortunately it does not look like enough, as the Sisters are completely decimating the Demigryph blobs. Empire has managed to win the front line mostly. It seems like on the right flank of the Empire, swordsmen and spearmen are pushing forward, but Rangers are beating the Empire forces on the left flank. And balance of power is still relatively equal. Both sides have taken significant losses, but in my opinion, I think the Empire has taken the worst, as 2 units of Demigryph Knights have been routed off. That is a pretty large loss. The Pistolier is doing a very good job of skirmishing down the Everqueen's court guards, and they can probably do a frontal charge into them as well, and looks like that's exactly what they are doing. As a moonbow shot does, I think another moonbow shot goes into some of these Pistoliers. Some spearmen going to be hopping into the side of these Talons of Glade, along with the Archlector to attempt to shut them down, but unfortunately it seems like the Pistoliers are not doing the best job of taking down those Sisters. Sisters do have very decent melee stats, and so I think Pistoliers were a little hasty in getting a charge in, since there were some silver helms to try and back up those Sisters. Let's see, the second unit of Sisters is in guard mode and firing into the remnants of some Demigryph Knights, but looks like the Demigryph Knights will still get a charge into them. This is actually a pretty close fight. You can see the balance of power is still somewhat in the middle, slightly high favored, I'd say. The Archlector did hop on top of Anar for a second, but Anar does manage to get away. And now a Grand Soulfire Bombardment going into some of these Rangers. Yeah, oh man, that actually did quite a bit of damage. And I think a big thing for the Empire is the fact that they still have these silver bullets very, very healthy. They also have a sizable, well, they have lost a lot of their skirmishing potential, but they still do have all 3 skirmishers still online, so that is a big, big win for them. One Reaper bolt thrower, or sorry, not Reaper, one Eagle Claw bolt thrower is still firing. Going into some of these skirmishers, but looks like this unit of skirmishers at least has used most of its ammunition. And yeah, these silver bullets need to keep running. The Jade Wizard along with those Pistoliers are keeping those Rangers distracted so that the silver bullets can escape and potentially return to the fight stronger than ever. We have the Archlector dueling with Anar, which actually seems to be going in favor of the Shadow King, as Anar is probably doing a decent job of sniping him. Oh man, Archlector is definitely taking quite a bit of damage, and ooh, the Zintler's Rexguard have also returned and are going to be getting a side charge into the Everqueen's court guards. And yeah, at this point, the range on the Sisters along with the Anar is just way too high. The Archlector needs to engage them and try and shut down some of the fire at least. Seems like, so Empire has done a decent job of shutting down the remnants of the archers for the High Elves, and the balance of power goes heavily in favor of Palpatine. He has done a beautiful job using those skirmishers to shut down the Talons of Glade and also the second unit of Sisters. Looks like the Mage of Death is also routing, and looks like hope is depleting for the High Elves. We have the Archlector fighting Anar. Archlector should win that fight. Anar is not a great melee combatant, especially when he is surrounded by a couple spearmen. And army losses does set in, and Palpatine does take the second game, so we do move on to the third rubber match. Yeah, definitely a very good game to both sides. I thought the High Elves had it. Honestly, I thought the High Elves had it. Their Sister Fire was really withering, completely decimating 3 units of Demigryph, or 2 units of Demigryph Knights, and I didn't even see those Intlers Reiksguard, but by the end of the battle they had almost no HP as well, so definitely very well played to both players. Yeah, I'll change the score, just give me a second. Let me get their rolls out of the way and let them start getting their armies. Patty Wampus, thank you for following. It's been a while. It's been like 5 minutes since you followed, but yeah, thanks for following. And we have Saurus Oldblood once again. Is he? Yeah, he's already played that. Has he? No. No, he played... Yeah, he played Lizardman already. Yeah, I'm getting confused between the 2 matchups, so he does get a reroll. And he gets Techless. Well, that is a wonderful change of pace for him. He has not had the best luck in Lords, but Techless is a good change of pace for him. Normally I don't like when players get Meta Lords, but Palpatine deserves it. And he gets Wulfrik. Ooh, that is going to be a tough one. That is going to be a very tough one. Yeah, I'm not sure he's going to be laughing anymore after that. Techless is one of the most powerful lords in the game, but I think Wulfrik is one lord that can turn the tide against him. So, yeah, Palpatine was happy initially, but once Wulfrik came in, not so much. Yeah, Palpatine needs to think a bit. Techless is I think, the ideal lord to go up against Norska. You throw in an enfeebling foe, because inevitably you're going to be seeing either chariot spam or double mammoth. If you see double mammoth, Techless is actually pretty good. He has nets, he has enfeebling foe. If you bring him with a metal caster, you can try and just shoot down the mammoths one by one. Just bring archer spam and just shoot down the mammoths one by one, but chariot spam is going to be a little tougher. Okay, so Palpatine is going to be re-rolling, which I do not blame him for, actually. It's a pretty unfavorable matchup for the High Elves. And unfortunately, Norska doesn't have too many terrible matchups either. That's a Lizardman. Ooh, Lizardman is a slightly... Lizardman versus Norska is slightly Lizardman favored, I think. But that's build dependent, and the Lifeslan doesn't really have the greatest utility in this one. I think if you go Barona's Time Warps on, then it's definitely Lizardman favored, but other than that, could be much more of a toss-up. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's my bad. So, auto reroll, that is my bad. Never mind. He gets... oof. Yeah, this wheel does not like Palpatine whatsoever. Yeah, that's the danger of rerolling, is that you could just get a shittier lord with the same faction. Okay, final reroll. This will probably decide the fate of the battle. Glade Lord? No, I don't think this is... I actually don't know much about this matchup. Glade Lord or Glade? Yeah, so this is the male Glade Lord. Shetland Apache, thank you for following. Okay, so he'll be rerolling. This isn't bad. Appreciate it. Yeah, this is a tournament format that definitely took a little bit of time to think up, but it seems like most people enjoy it. Are we gonna have a Wood Elf mirror? Ancient Treeman, that's gonna be a bit of fun if we have a Wood Elf mirror. And this is why I brought the wheel into this. Oh, he's re-rolling. Damn it. Wood Elf mirror could have been some fun. Love the format, appreciate it. Throgg. So he gets thrown Norska right back. Wheel is like, Norska, take it or leave it. Well, can't leave it now because it is his final pick, so. Oh wow, so no Way Watchers. Is that? Oh man, I thought I saw a Froststorm for a second. I was about to get really excited. Okay, so for the Wood Elves, looks like a pretty mobile core. Honestly, this is probably an entirely skirmish build. There's no infantry whatsoever, so it's definitely going to be a little bit of a scrap for the Norskins, but they have enough skin wolves to try and, you know, fight the skirmish. Oh, they have Dryads. Okay, never mind. 3 Dryads, 2 units of Deepwood Scouts with Swift Shiver Shards. I don't know why that's such a tongue twister. We have the Wild Hunters of Kurnos. I believe they are anti-large. Yep. They're anti-large, so they can deal a decent bit of damage to skin wolves. We have some 2 units of Wild Rider. Oh no, only 1 unit of Wild Riders with shields, and 2 units of Glade Guard with Hagbane tips. Oh, we do have 2 units of Wild Riders with shields. We have a Glade Lord in disguise on a Forest Dragon. And let's see what he's bringing. So he has Helm of Discord, definitely a very powerful tool. Foe Seeker, and Soporific Breath. I did not know it was called that. That's a weird name. And Banner of Hunter King, along with the Call of the Woods. So I'm interested to see how this one does. He also has a Spell Singer of Life, probably to heal up that dragon in case it ever decides to charge to the ground and maybe gets surrounded by skin wolves. You always want some healing in case you make a couple mistakes. So for the Norskins, we have a front line of standard Marauders. Cheap, pretty good at absorbing damage as well since they are shielded, and should deal a little bit of damage against Dryads. Dryads will probably beat them one-on-one. We have Throgg in the forest with a bunch of skin wolves surrounding him. We have a Shaman Sorcerer of Death, and also a Shaman Sorcerer of Fire. It looks like there was it an Overcast? Might have been an Overcast, yes, Overcast Spirit Leech, which did end up miscasting and hurting himself. I'm using game capture on OBS, I believe. Is there something wrong with it? Yeah, I'm using game capture. So it looks like the Norskins are pushing up, as the Wild Riders with shields are going to be getting a very good frontal charge into the Marauders. That's definitely going to be doing... Oh wow, already taking off like 25% HP, allowing the Dryads to come in and completely decimate them. And seeing what just happened to their brethren, the Marauders do decide to retreat a little bit and take a more favorable engagement with the Dryads, far away from those Wild Riders. Now Throgg is pushing up, and they do manage to catch one of these Wild Riders and knock them out of the fight, but it seems like across the board, a lot of the Marauders are falling relatively quickly to those Dryads. The Forest Dragon does hop on top of some of these Beasts of Tashnar, and along with the Wild Hunters of Kurnos are knocking them out of the fight, and a Burning Head going through some of the Dryads. I think ideally it should have gone through a couple of Deepwood Scouts, but maybe the caster wasn't in range. And oh, it's okay, never mind, I thought that was a caster. So one caster has taken a little bit of damage, the Shaman Sorcerer of Death, but the Fire caster still remains online, and now the Norskin forces are rapidly chasing the Deepwood Scouts. I don't know why their name is such a tongue twister for me. So I have problems with saying Swift Shiver Shards. So many S's. Okay, and now the Glade Lord is surrounded by a couple Norscan Ice Wolves and Skin Wolves. The Norscan Ice Wolves, of course, do get Frostbite, and so any unit they hop on top of will be getting a huge speed debuff. And now that they have hopped on top of these Deepwood Scouts, it could give the opportunity for a couple of the Skin Wolves to just push past the Glade Lord and try and shut down the Deepwood Scouts, who unfortunately haven't used most of their ammunition yet. They definitely want to stay as far away from the fight as possible and continue shooting for the meantime. And Throgg is a little too far for the Norskins to be comfortable. He should be trying to support these Skin Wolves, but unfortunately they are getting picked apart one by one by those Wild Riders and the Great Forest Dragon. There is also a double Manticore, which I don't know if I mentioned before, which is doing a decent bit of damage to a lot of the infantry, along with, of course, the Wild Hunters of Kurnos. So that is a good pick from the Norskins, but will it be enough, as a lot of the Skin Wolves have been routed off the field? They are fighting very, very close to the edge of the map, and so any routes from the Norskins seems to be permanent. And the Wood Elves are taking the lead in this engagement, as those Glade Riders with Hagbane tips are losing the last, or they have a decent bit of ammunition left, but losing the last of their ammunition into Throgg. And now a big engagement as the Glade Lord does hop on top of Throgg. Helm of Discord is popped, and there's no support for Throgg as he takes a ton of fire from those Deepwood Scouts, from the Glade Guard. And the Forest Dragon will definitely be able to do quite a bit of damage as well, but looks like one of the Manticores may be attempting to join the fight. Throgg is anti-large, and so with a Manticore, he could actually do quite a bit of damage to the Glade Lord, and he might want to consider retreating from that fight and letting those Deepwood Scouts take care of him, take care of this blob. Ah, shoot. Yeah, I haven't linked it yet. I haven't linked the challenge page yet, but I'll post it after this battle. Sorry about that. So the Glade Lord has managed to disengage and will now be going after both of the casters of the Norskins, as the Glade Riders do turn their attention to the remains of the remaining Skin Wolves. Fortunately, the Deepwood Scouts are too close to the edge of the map to really have anywhere to retreat to, so they'll probably be routing from the field soon, and will be permanent considering how close they are. And the Skin Wolves similarly pushed off the field. Normally they would have time to regen as they retreat, but the fact that they're fighting so close just means that they are gone from the fight very, very quickly. So Manticore going after the Spellsinger of Life, but she is on horseback and so should be able to dodge the hits from that Manticore. And now it is rampaged as the Glade Lord does hop on top of it with some Glade Guard support, or sorry, Glade Rider support. The Manticore will be retreating, and that pretty much only leaves Throgg to try and win the fight, and looks like army losses may be setting in soon as a balance of power is heavily Wood Elf favored. Yeah, I'll post it in a second, sorry about that. Yeah, normally I set up a bracket command, but forgot to this time, and it looks like Palpatine will be moving on into the finals. Let me pull up the bracket real quick. Here we go, so Wei gets the first roll. Malagor the Dark Omen, so we get some Beastmen today, potentially. And let's check out what Palpatine will be getting. Palpatine has not been getting very favorable picks so far, but he has managed. And he gets the Archmage of High Magic. So a lot of elves for him today. What was the lore again? High Magic. What if you don't have a DLC? You have 2 rerolls. So if you don't have a DLC, you have to use one of the rerolls, and hopefully you'll get a Lord with a DLC you do have. Also, let me scroll up a bit. You gave like Shetland Apache, you gave like a paragraph, or not a paragraph, a sentence about how I could change the tournament. What if you paired a Regiment of Renown with each Lord, and when you roll, that's the only one you can take with the Lord? That could be a cool idea, yeah. For sure. Yeah, so then it won't just be like random Lords, it could be just different units as well that you could expect to see. Okay, so Palpatine is going to be re-rolling. Thanks for the follow, by the way, Palpatine. Let's check out what he will be getting. And he gets Wulfrik the Wanderer. A very, very good pick, in my opinion. I think the wheel is starting to turn in his favor. Oh yeah, it's honestly, I've also started to pick up Norsca a lot as well. They have a lot of really, they have a lot of matchups where it's not necessarily their favored, but it's like they have a decent fighting chance in almost every matchup, I'd say. Oh, and Wei is gonna reroll. They're a good balanced faction to pick up if you want to do tournaments. Yeah, and only 3 Lords, so... Unfortunately, they aren't commonly seen in this tournament since they are like the smallest sliver. I give them like double the weight of other Lords since they barely have any Lords, but you still don't get to see them too often in this tournament. But when you do, it's pretty fun. Actually, we see them already once today, and might even see them again. So let's give him the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of what? Shadows. Yeah. Current year, thank you. Honestly, you don't, I don't think there's gonna be overlap. He said he's doing it in like an hour, I think. I'm not sure. So, I think we'll be able to finish our stream before he gets his. Alright, so for the forces of Norsca. It's like a front line of just standard Chaos just standard Marauders. We have some Ice Trolls who should be able to beat down a lot of the Chaos Infantry pretty well. Double Skin Wolf. Yep, only 2 Skin Wolves. 1 unit of the Beasts of Tashnar. 1 Marauder Horsemaster. And 1 unit of Marauder Berserkers. I don't really see too many options for taking out a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth if the Chaos player does bring one, so I think that could be a little bit of an issue. Especially if they go double Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. I don't know if they did. We'll check out their army in a second. We also have a Fimir Baleffiend of Shadows, bringing Pendulum and Enfeebling Foe, along with the Scroll of Shielding, and we of course have Wulfrik on his Mammoth, bringing Seafang, Fight or Die, and Hunter of Champions. So pretty powerful Norscan army. They might struggle a little bit against some of those large units, such as this Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. Yeah, definitely going to be a very tough tool for, a very good tool for the Chaos to take down a lot of those Norscan Ice Wolves, even Wulfrik himself, since they are anti-large. Let's check. Are they anti-large? Yeah, they do have a small bonus versus large. So the front line is gonna be, we have some Chosen with Halberts for the middle, a couple Chaos Marauders on the flanks. Chosen with Halberts should perform relatively well, though they will have to watch out for this No-Skin Ice Trolls. They do have a little bit of anti-large capabilities themselves with those Halberts, so they should be able to deal a little bit of damage in return to those Trolls. we have in the skies an Exalted Hero on a Manticore mount, and 3 units of Marauder Horsemen, so it looks like Chaos does have the skirmishing advantage, along with 1 Chaos Warhound with poison. And we have a great Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Shadows in the sky with a dragon. Interesting to see how he does. Normally caster lords with Chaos are... you usually bring them with horse mounts, so I'm a little surprised to see him with this dragon, but we'll see how it does. And I think a big issue for Norska is going to be protecting Wulfrik, since if you get on him with an Exalted Hero Dragon and a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, he will fall in a matter of seconds, so you really have to be careful and try not to overextend him like this, since, oh man, the dragon coming in for a rear charge, Exalted Hero may be coming as well. Hunter of Champions does get popped though, and now some Skin Wolves are popping into the back of this Chaos Sorcerer Lord. So this engagement has quickly turned in favor of Norska, as those Skin Wolves are going to be surrounding the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. Wulfrik also has a decent amount of weapon strength, so he can do a lot of damage. And oh man, this Chaos, the Dragon of the Chaos is falling very, very quickly, losing HP by the second. A Pendulum going through a lot of the Chosen with Halberts. And looks like the dragon may just be falling. So instead of Wulfrik overextending, it was actually the dragon that overextended, and now he is going to be routing from the field, and the Skin Wolves may not even allow him to get back in the skies. So that is a huge loss for Chaos, but they do still have 1 Dragon Ogre Shaggoth left. The front lines are going relatively equal. Chaos has lost a lot of tools due to the Pendulums and Sea Fangs, but Chosen with Halberts are holding relatively steady. And now the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is going to be fighting Wulfrik, but Wulfrik has a lot of support nearby in the form of Skin Wolves and 1 unit of Norscan Ice Trolls, so may not be the greatest of engagements for the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. Ooh, and the Exalted Hero is also routing. That is a pretty large loss for Chaos, and now Norska takes a firm lead in this matchup. A potential breath attack coming? Yep, going into Wulfrik, not doing the most damage, but looks like Norska will be taking this battle. Pretty much the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is the only strength left on the ground for Chaos. Dragon could do some cycle charging, but unfortunately if he lands, he has to watch out for the Skin Wolves. Those Marauder Horsemasters are also getting some decent shots into him, and so he may have to do a little bit dodging. And now the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is routing, and army losses is going to set in any second now. And with that, Norska does win the battle relatively quickly. It was a beautiful little bait from Wulfrik in the beginning. I thought he overextended a little bit. That would allow the Exalted Hero and the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth and of course the dragon to knock him out of the fight, but looks like Palpatine was planning on that, and so really good play from him. Honestly, I would have taken that bait too, to be honest. And Palpatine does take a quick 1-0 lead. Alright, so let's give Wei his first roll. And he gets Markus Wulfhart. Chosen with Halberts, yeah. They're very powerful infantry, but I think the Pendulums really doom them. But nice to Palpatine for giving tips on that matchup, since he definitely had a very dominant lead right from the start with Norska, so it's nice to give some tips on how Wei could have improved that matchup. But I think Wei did a really, really good job with his army picks, I guess. Maybe the dragon wasn't an amazing pick, but he had a lot of tools for taking down big monsters like Wulfrik. Unfortunately, the Chaos Sorcerer Lord kind of got baited into an unfavorable matchup. Ooh, and we might just have an Empire Mirror. That is a very good pick for Palpatine. And we might be looking to reroll after this. Or we could just take the Empire Mirror match. It's not a mirror match I get to see terribly often, so we'll see how it checks out. Alright, oh shoot, I should have told them to try and maybe take... Does Franz have a sub-faction? I don't remember if he does. Alright, anyway, I'll just use the names on each faction instead of like the Empire for both. So for Papa Palpatine's Empire army, where'd it go? We have a front line of Sigmar Sons along with 1 unit of swordsmen and a bunch of spearmen with shields. We have a Bright Wizard bringing some fire spells, Burning Head, and where'd he go? Okay, he disappeared. We also have Karl Franz in the skies, and he doesn't have his Griffin mount. Is the Griffin? Is that what his mount is called? Looks like he just has a normal horseback mount. Or flying horseback mount. Coming in with Stand Your Ground and Foe Seeker, along with the Reichland Runefang. A little surprising to see him with that mount, but he probably has a strategy behind it. We have a sizable skirmishing corps in the form of 3 units of Pistoliers and 1... keeps moving around to keep kind of confusing. 1 unit of Empire Knights. Let's see what the other spell was. So Fireball and Burning Head. Ooh, and we have a Steam Tank. That's a fun little addition. So ideally, I don't know if Karl Franz on this mount causes terror. No, I don't think he does, but this Steam Tank for sure does cause terror. And for the forces of Wei and his empire, looks like we actually have Pistolier's Vanguard deployed. We have a box formation, 3 or 4 units of spearmen with shields, along with 3 units of handgunners in the middle. We have the Sunmaker, so 2 pretty fun little units on either army. One is a steam tank, and on this side we have the Sunmaker. We also have 2 units of Empire Knights, and in the back we have the Sigmar Sons protecting the Sunmaker. We also do have Gotrek for some additional anti-large, and we have Wulfrik with, let's check out what he's bringing. He's bringing his nets, of course, Hunter Snare, Focus Shot, and Amber Bow. And looks like they're all wishing good luck, have fun. And they will be starting. Steam Tank initially going to be firing into the Sunmaker. I'm not sure how good it is at counter-sniping artillery, but we will soon see. It actually does a decent bit of damage. The Sunmaker might have to watch out. So the fire initially starts coming into some of the spearmen, doing a little bit of damage. Taking about 25% HP off. They are shielded, so they can take a little bit more of a beating. Oh, Markus has a sub-faction. Okay. Ooh, and that is quite unfortunate for Rinzler as one...
Fight, men! Fight for
Is it? Yeah, so it looks like one of the models was destroyed. Some skirmishing going on as Wei's, I don't know why I said Rinzler, Wei's Pistoliers skirmish with Palpatine's Pistoliers. Or these are Outriders actually, so that's why they're significantly winning this fight. Even though there are more skirmishers on Palpatine's side, the Outriders of Wei are doing a much better job of handling them. And the Sunmaker still firing in at some spearmen, though it's not getting the best of trades considering the steam tank is doing a significant bit of damage. And now there's going to be a fireball coming. I don't know if it's upgraded or not, but it's definitely going to be doing a little bit of damage. And unfortunately it does miss the models. Unfortunately for Palpatine, it does miss the models, but it does kill a couple of the crew. The crew is wavering and might be routing relatively soon, and that kind of forces Wei to push up. Yeah, you can see he's kind of abandoning the Sunmaker at this point. There's no point in protecting it when it's about to rout at this point. And a couple shots from these Outriders. Ooh, some Outriders with grenade launchers, actually my favorite Empire unit. I love these guys. I think they're super underrated. And they're like bombers on horseback, basically. That's why I love them so much. They have mobility, they have the ability to completely decimate infantry units. They can also run away from most of the threats. And the Sunmaker is now going to be routing, as another fireball will chase them out of the map. One thing that is looking good for Wei is the fact that Outriders are skirmishing much more favorably with Palpatine's own skirmishers, and so you might want to just leave them to fire. I don't know why he's trying to retreat them. They were winning their skirmish fight. They're a lot better at skirmishing than Pistoliers are. And they also can't fire behind them on the move, so they should just stick where they are and fire. And they could potentially win just by doing that. Looks like an Amber Bow might be coming in. And it does hit Karl Franz. Karl Franz has lost about 25% HP. We also do, I didn't realize we have an amethyst? I don't exactly know how you say that. Bringing, looks like just spirit leeching. And oh man, look at those grenade launchers. Look at all the damage they did to these handgunners. This is why I absolutely love these guys. Unfortunately, they are being skirmished to death, I believe. Well, by these handgunners actually, but they did manage to deal a little bit of damage before routing. Normally you wouldn't want them to counter skirmish with infantry gun units, since horseback units are pretty vulnerable to gunfire, but taking down one of the handgunners is not a terrible trade. So one of Wei's Empire Knights is being routed and chased off by a couple Outriders with grenade launchers. Good thing is that, good thing for Palpatine is that even though he's not doing the best in the skirmish fight, his grenade launchers and Empire Knights have managed to completely surround the army. And looks like they may be getting on these Empire Knights a little bit of a tactical reserve here, which may get completely decimated if these two Outriders decide to shoot into them. Outriders are anti-infantry. Outriders with grenade launchers are anti-infantry, but I do believe they should be able to do a decent bit of damage to Empire Knights. These are Pistoliers actually, and looks like the Empire Knights will be getting a charge into the Pistoliers, so a bit of a micro mistake from Palpatine. And these Pistoliers are likely going to be routing as the Outriders do a decent amount of work. Wulfhart may not want to target the steam tank. It has a lot of armor, 160 armor. There are definitely better targets for Wulfhart to shoot. Karl Franz sitting at about 50% HP. That's a target Wulfhart should be looking for. Let's check out what's going on back here. As Empire Knights of Palpatine are going to be getting a rear charge on the Empire Knights of Wei. Trying to allow some of these grenade launchers to escape, and it looks like they will. Though not sure whose Empire Knights will be taking the victory in this small matchup. And wow, somehow it seems like some of the spearmen have managed to get around one of Wei's own spearmen and hop on top of some of these handgunners. No clue where. Oh look, maybe the fireball was going after Wulfhart. Wulfhart has taken quite a bit of damage himself from the steam tank, so he might want to start attempting to dodge. Handgunners are now opening fire into the Bright Wizard, but unfortunately it looks like some Empire Knights have found a gap in the infantry lines and will be getting a very good charge into these handgunners. Looks like the backline of handgunners is going to be compromised relatively soon. Nothing of great importance going on there, just some Empire Knights dueling. We have another shot going into Karl Franz, and at this point he can't stay too close to Wulfrik. He has to watch out from being sniped out, so he pretty much has to remain dodging for the entirety of the fight and potentially protecting some of his backline units. And now the handgunners are being shut down one by one, and those Empire Knights will be sure to chase them off the map. And looks like Palpatine is taking a slight lead in the balance of power. As he manages to catch 2 units of Outriders as well with 1 unit of Spearmen, which is a great pick for Palpatine. That is a huge loss for Wei. Those Outriders could have probably killed the steam tank and killed Karl Franz, but unfortunately they are now routing. I do believe they will return though, since Spearmen don't really have the speed to chase them off. Steam tank though does have a decent bit of range and can probably ensure that they are completely routed off the field. And now we have Karl Franz fighting against Markus Wulfhart. Karl Franz definitely very angry for all those shots that Wulfhart was shooting into him earlier, and now wants his revenge. And he will be getting it as Wulfhart gets rear charged and is probably going to be falling very soon as the balance of power shifts even further in Palpatine's favor. It looks like this qualifier may just be going in favor of Palpatine. Gotrek is still healthy and he is a world beater, and he should be able to kill a lot of Palpatine's Empire forces, but fortunately he doesn't do too well in blobs. Yep, and there seems like Markus Wulfhart will be falling as Karl Franz slays him from behind. And army losses is probably going to set in very soon. Of course, Gotrek is unbreakable, so he will stay in the fight until he dies. Where's that fireball coming in? So fireball going into some of these handgunners. And there goes army losses, leaving only Gotrek in this blob to try and fight it out.
Now we strike! Forward, man!
Well, Karl Franz definitely has to be careful, since Gotrek will definitely be able to kill Karl Franz. But if he does some cycle charging, it shouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And now the magnificent steam tank is also charging into melee. 2 unbreakable units facing off, knocking him off his feet. And Wei does withdraw, and with that, Palpatine is the final qualifier in the Showdown of the Lords. And there we go, Palpatine is the 4th and final qualifier Showdown of the Lords for the season, and he will be competing against Dactyr, Moore, and Swerve in the finals. I haven't set a date for that yet, but I will probably do it pretty darn soon. Thanks, current year. Appreciate all the support. And yeah, very good games to both players. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the stream. Thank you all for sticking around. I'm gonna plug my Discord real quick. If you guys want to catch further content, join my Discord server, as I announce pretty much everything on the server, and I'll definitely be announcing when the finals will be taking place on there as well. Also, you could follow the stream as well. That would do as well, since you'd pretty much get notified every time I'm live. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this tournament. Yeah, man. Kafka, thanks for sticking around. And I'm gonna plug Turin's stream once again for any of you guys who wanna go and watch that. Let's pull it up real quick. Here we go. And yeah, pretty much it. So I will see you guys in the next one.